Girl, to be with you is my favorite thing. I can't wait till I see you again. Yeah, yeah. I wanna put on my boogie shoes. With you. I wanna put on my boogie shoes. With you. I wanna dance. Come on, go get it. Everybody jump. Everybody jump. Everybody jump.
Oh,
Hey
hey.
everybody! Oh hey! Welcome to Show Choir Live. It's March. Can you believe it? That was not rhetorical.
I can't believe it.
Welcome to Show Choir Live. We had a little bit of a tech issue earlier. We got it figured out. My name's Alex Hall. If you've never tuned in before, I'm a choreographer. I'm here in Chicago in my beautiful but chilly apartment. And just came off of a weekend going out to competition at Broadhead, Wisconsin with one of my groups, Mount Prospect. And yeah, we're finally live. You saw one of our guests dancing right front center there with Nebraska Big Red Singers back in 2009. We're here with my co-host Adam Peters. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I am live from Lincoln, Nebraska in Dr. Peter Eckland's conductor cave here. It's kind of a wonderland of books and music.
And maybe there's like
I've got Bain right next to me here, Mr. Bengt, August Eklund, the wonderful.
How you doing, Bain?
What did you say? We can't hear you very well.
No.
Oh, really? What about
Yeah,
now?
I think it's our speakers, not yours. It's
Okay.
up all.
Well, that's.
But we also have a peanut gallery in the back too. We've got some beautiful, lovely ladies. We've got Steph Hyatt and Mrs. Melissa Eklund in the back. They're just gonna be watching. We're gonna try out this whole like Today Show feel.
Okay, as long as they applaud and like we have close-ups of their reactions to like controversial statements. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
So where
Yes.
were you again, Mr. Alex?
I was in Broadhead, Wisconsin. It was freezing. Chicago recorded their coldest low of the year, -10 degrees. It was about -15, 16, 17 in Broadhead by the time I got up there. But it was a great day. I was with Mount Prospect, and yeah, we had a really nice time. We had some technical issues with our backdrop and prelims. That's kind of funny now. But they had good shows. They felt really good about it. Saw a lot of other good groups. Unalaska did great. Congrats to Unalaska. But yeah, it was a good weekend overall. Where were you?
Steph Hyatt and I were judging at Grand Island's competition, which was pretty intense. The critiques in the day were awesome, but then at finals at night, it was just like overload. It was great show choir and awesome, awesome music. One of my favorite parts of the day was the Millard North guitarists are like sick guitar players, Alex. Like you could seriously take them. Burroughs would hire them in a heartbeat. And yeah.
I saw your tweet that was like they need to have a record deal or something.
They do. I was sitting in the prep group in the day, and I'm like trying to write down stuff so I can critique the prep in the day, and I just couldn't stop like listening to the guitar players and like being like, this is the coolest thing ever. And then in their varsity group, it was even better. So yeah, it was cool. It was a great day, great competition. 1,800 seat auditorium. Beautiful, just redone. So if you're looking for a nice space to perform, go to Grand Island.
If
It's
anybody
like
has a video of those Millard North guys, I'll try to throw it in somewhere at the end. Send us a YouTube video of Millard North guitar players if you've got one, because
just the guitar players playing.
Where were you, Mr. Bain?
I was at Cedar Rapids Kennedy.
Get in the light. Your hat is helping you there.
Sorry. Whatever. I was at Cedar Rapids Kennedy. I got to see Ankeny Centennial. They got first. Second was who was it? Who got second? Valley, who was awesome, and they sang super well.
I wasn't there.
Urbandale, I know. I expect you to know though.
Well, I do.
Urbandale was in third, and they were great. Cedar Rapids, Washington, and then Xavier. So there were 5 super good groups. Any of them could have watched. It was cool.
So Adam, you've got some videos that you've sent me from Lincoln East. Will you tell me a little bit about your experience with them and what we're about to watch? Because I think I'm going to roll these videos here.
Yeah, Steph and I went to Lincoln East. Their director's name is Brett Epperson. He's a new guy. He's a new young director, and his kids are incredible. First of all, Lincoln East is a show choir that has been around since 1967, and they literally performed without risers until around 2005. So they're relatively an older group, but they're catching up to the scene, and the last few years they've kind of taken mega leaps, and they're an amazing group. I saw them at Lincoln Southwest and was just so impressed, not only by what's going on stage, but the level of musicianship, which is obviously the most important part. So yeah, they're amazing kids. I really liked my time there. It was short, but roll tape.
Who choreographs for them?
Mr. Bain Eckland.
I kind of thought so. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to switch.
I think he already switched it over. Hopefully.
May our hearts be full like our dreams tonight. May we sing and dance till we lose our minds. We are only on in this is the night. Tonight we own the night. Tonight we own the night. We can lose our song, so long it's like a love in a place that's getting cool, yeah.
Happy birthday, Mr. Epperson! Yeah, it was Brett's birthday that day, so that was why I yelled that.
Right. Well, happy birthday, Brett. I thought they sound amazing in that video.
Well, and really, I had prepared them. I just said, oh, by the way, I'm going to tape this. And I was sitting up really close, which was a horrible mistake because obviously you get individual voices. But even so, it sounds so good.
They do. They sound really, really strong. Bain, do you know if they're done competing for the year, or do they have a couple more?
They have one left. They go up to Sioux City East this upcoming weekend.
Cool. Cool. Speaking of competing, I think Adam probably has some results from yesterday that he would like to share. Go ahead.
Yeah. We will start all the way out in California. In third place, Los Alamitos. Second place, Burbank. And first place, John Burroughs with Best Vocals and Best Choreography. Down in Petal, Mississippi, we've got fifth place, Brandon. Fourth place, South Jones. Third place, Oak Grove with Best Choreography. Second place, Homewood. And first place, Wheaton Warrenville South with Best Vocals. Out in Anderson, Indiana, fifth place, Edgewood Prep. Fourth place, Ross. Third place, Bishop Dwenger. Second place, Fairfield. And first place, Edgewood. Southeast Polk, Iowa had their contest. Sixth place, Davenport West. Fifth place, Johnston's Prep Group. Fourth place, Dowling Catholic. Third place, St. Francis. Second place, Davenport Central with Best Band. And first place, Johnston Innovation. Again, I think, what is this, their fifth win?
Yeah, I think that's number.
With Best Vocals and Best Choreography. Congrats, Johnston. Cedar Rapids, Kennedy. Sixth place, Valley Prep. Fifth place, Xavier. Fourth place, Cedar Rapids, Washington with Best Band. Third place, Urbandale. Second place, West Des Moines Valley with Best Vocals. And first place, Ankeny Centennial with Best Choreography. In Central Lee, sixth place, Keokuk Prep. Fifth place, Fort Madison. Fourth place, Williamsburg. Third place, El Paso Gridley. Second place, Des Moines Christian. And first place with the sweep, Keokuk High School. At Huntington North, sixth place, Columbia City. Fifth place, Northridge. Fourth place, Norwell. Do I say that right? Is it Norwell?
Norwell, yeah.
Norwell. Third place, Homestead. Second place, Carroll. And first place with Best Vocals and Best Choreography, Center Grove. At the Grove City Invite, sixth place, Piqua. Fifth place, Edgewood. Fourth place, Olentangy. Third place, Coleraine. Second place, ETC. And first place, Finley, first edition.
Yeah. I was actually talking to Kevin Manley on Facebook chat a second ago, and I'm going to share some pictures.
Can you explain the pictures?
And there's a nice story behind that, too. So at the end of the show, I'll talk about that. But congrats to FFE. I know you guys are pumped. That's awesome.
Awesome. At the Avon competition, fourth place went to Fishers, third place went to Fairfield, Indiana, second place went to Brownsburg, and first place went to Plainfield. At the Marion Invite in Iowa, sixth place went to Ottumwa, fifth place went to Prairie Prep, fourth place went to Benton, third place went to Holman, second place went to Cedar Rapids Jefferson with Best Vocals, and first place went to Cedar Rapids Prairie with Best Choreography. At the Grand Island Invitational, sixth place went to Beatrice, right?
Beatrice.
Yes, I got it right. I kept saying Beatrice or Beat Rice, which is not correct.
I actually vote for Beat Rice. Let's go with that.
Yeah. I'm sure they're not happy with that, but Beatrice, yes. Fifth place, Elkhorn. Fourth place, Millard North with Best Band. Shout out to those three guitar players. They rock. Third place, Papillion South. Second place, Millard West with Best Choreography, and first place, Elkhorn South with Best Vocals. At the Bishop Heelan Invitational, sixth place, Westwood, fifth place, Blair, fourth place, Gretna, third place, Lewis Central with Best Band, second place, Sioux City East with Best Choreography, and Norwalk with Best Vocals. At the first ever North Iowa Community competition, the sixth place went to Indianola, fifth place went to Kennedy's Girls Group from Bloomington, fourth place went to West Delaware. Third place went to Muscatine. Second place went to Bloomington Kennedy. And first place with the sweep, Waconia Power Company. At the Twinsburg Invite in Ohio, sixth place went to Garfield Heights. Fifth place went to Medina. Fourth place went to Marion Harding. Third place went to DeKalb. Second place went to Solon with Best Vocals and Best Band. First place went to Marysville with Best Choreography. At the Mooresville Invitational in Indiana, fourth place went to Lafayette Jefferson. Third place went to Franklin Community. Second place went to Bishop Luers. And first place went to North Central. At Franklin Central's contest, fifth place went to Pike. Fourth place went to Chesterton. Third place went to Ben Davis. Second place went to Loveland with Best Choreography and Best Band. And first place went to Zionsville with Best Vocals. Oh my gosh. There's just
great, buddy. Hang in there.
I'm going to get there. Vermilion, Fifth place went to Sioux Falls, Washington with the girls group, sorry. Fourth place went to Wahoo, which is a great show choir name. Wahoo is their school.
That's the name of the town or the show choir name?
It's the name of the town.
That's
Wahoo! Third place went to Groton. Is that right, Groton? Groton.
I think.
Groton. Second place went to Sioux Falls, Washington with Best Vocals, and first place went to Aberdeen Central with Best Choreography and Best Band. Up in Broadhead, sixth place went to Monona Grove, fifth place went to Neenah, fourth place went to Mantino, third place went to Prospect Mix Company, second place went to Fort Atkinson with Best Choreography Tie, and first place went to Onalaska with Best Vocals and Best Choreography Tie. And at Glenwood, sixth place went to Pekin with Best Band, fifth place went to Sullivan, fourth place went to Danville, third place went to Mount Zion, second place went to Decatur, and first place went to Clinton Attaché with Best Vocals and Best Choreography. And last but not least, we can't forget about the Robert C. Byrd contest down in West Virginia. Fourth place went to Morgantown, third place went to Winfield, second place went to Martinsburg with Best Choreography, and first place with Best Vocals and Best Band went to Polka. And I never want to hear my voice again.
Did you get to the one with Fairfield and Edgewood?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I wanted to talk about that real quick.
Tuned out. Come on.
Well, Fairfield swept with second, which is interesting, and I just wanted to bring that up because that's A, super rare, and B, it kind of brings up the discussion on giving captions during prelims, and I think that's...
Is that what happened now?
Yeah. So in the day, Fairfield was up like 10, and they won both of those captions. And then at night, I think Edgewood won by 1, which is how you get that kind of a result. But it's just an interesting thought, like to do captions during prelims or during finals can kind of create like some confusing looking results, like just on paper. But
well, that happened earlier in the season too to Onalaska somewhere. Yep. They won all the captions, and then Sauk Prairie at night won. So yeah, that's definitely an interesting thing. I think more nowadays people are doing captions at night, at least the major ones. You know, best female, best male soloist, best band sometimes is in the day, but then vocals and choreo usually is given at night.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's move on to Dr. Pete's like way back in the corner over there.
I mean, at first I thought, you know, we'd start with Bain, but then this whole peanut gallery kind of started, and I forgot too, Dr. Pete actually judged at Grand Island this weekend too, which was super cool because this is my third competition I've judged with Dr. Peter Eklund, which is amazing.
Nice. That's good company right there.
Yeah. Yeah, we judged Jefferson together last year. Yeah.
We all were there.
So, Mr. Adam, you're the MC over there in Nebraska. So, should we start with Bain or should we start with Dr. Pete?
Well, I guess we should bring in Dr. Pete. I feel like we've seen enough of this ugly mug. Let's get Dr. Peter Eklund in here. We'll give him his special chair too. He's got this really cool chair that like bounces up and down. If you want to take a seat, Dr. Eklund.
Hey, how are you?
How's it going, buddy?
It's going okay. It's good to see you.
You have quite a nice-looking office back there.
Well,
it's
not really
very studious.
It's a library. It's a 2-story library. You could tell them better about it. How many books are in here?
Oh, there's about 5,000 books in here. No, I haven't read them all once. I've read them twice. No, I'm kidding. I have not. A lot of them are scores, and so yeah, it's a nice hangout. It's a nice place to.
The question, Adam, do you feel smarter since you've been in there? That's the question.
I mean, I did. My confidence level just kind of plummeted, but I feel smarter sitting next to him, so that's good.
Good.
Yeah. So we've got Dr. Peter Eklund here. He is the head of music at University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and he is a show choir pioneer. I would call him a show choir pioneer because he, back in the day, was the director of Cedar Rapids Jefferson's West Side delegation. Literally, they were unstoppable. and he also did some choreography way back in the day for them.
Well, and then I noticed other people were just getting ahead and watching things, and I wasn't. And so I found some people that were much better at it than I was. I stuck to teaching vocals and doing some arranging early on.
How did you get started into music in general?
Well, that's a weird question. When I was in 6th grade, I heard the 7th grade choir, and they sang in parts, and I didn't know what parts were, so I didn't, like any normal 6th grader, I didn't sign up for choir. And we had a young new teacher in our 7th grade, and his name was Jim Kimmel, and of course he went on to just all kinds of wonderful things, from Hal Leonard to Millikan to Belmont. And he went in and found the principal and said, there's a whole study hall in there, and I'll take the study hall into my choir room. And he did. And I think most of us sang for the next 6 years. Then I whether it was being, I was drum major of the high school marching band for 3 years. Then I went off to college, but I started off majoring in chemical engineering, and because I enjoyed it. And but I kept being drawn to music, so I was always in the marching band, and I sang, and I got involved with writing the marching band arrangements at the University of Iowa, and one thing led to another, and I graduated, and they wanted me to stay on, and so I got a local job teaching at a school there in Iowa City, and taught there 3 years, then Cedar Rapids Jefferson, and then they kind of made me an offer here at the University of Nebraska I couldn't refuse.
How many years were you at Jefferson?
15.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how many years did you choreograph that group? Because I just...
Oh dear, not very many. We got better people in when I started to realize that there were specialists, and there was a time that I think everything was done in-house, whether it was costuming, and now there are so many wonderful specialists out there that you really have to be aware of who's out there doing well, and see if you can, like I said to many people, make him your new best friend. Few people are, if I had a question, I had no shame. I'd call them up and say, you're really good at this. How do you do it? And they were always so kind.
Who are some of those people for you?
Well, Alan Chapman was down at in southeast Nebraska, who had was doing wonderful vocal work. I went with, when my first teaching job, I had to do a show choir. And show choir at that point was really taking off, and everybody said the best show choir in Iowa at the time was Larry Kelly out at West High School. So I went and asked him, and I suddenly made him my new best friend.
Iowa City West?
Yeah, and he went off to a big regional competition called Bishop Luers that I'm sure everybody's heard of. And I tagged along, and I ran into some really fun people. One of them was Ron Helms, and one of them was Verda Savage, who's Verda Slinkard. And they could not have been nicer and more generous, and I spent time going over and visiting them in spring breaks and weekends and watching concerts, and brought a lot of that back to Iowa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And did you start Big Red Singers, or?
I did.
Yeah, and what year was that?
I have no idea.
That was like 2000.
There was another group on campus called Scarlet and Cream, which was kind of in the tradition of a lot of the other collegiate groups, whether it was Scarlet and Gray at Ohio State University. But one thing we needed was something for our music education students, where they could have hands-on, a safe laboratory to learn how to do it, because there weren't very many places. I mean, a lot of young people grew up in good groups, but there still are a bunch of people that never had an opportunity to participate in one, and I'm one. And they had to learn by watching other people and making good associations and bringing people to work with their groups. So we started Big Red Singers, and because the other one was Alumni Association sponsored, they don't exist anymore, but the Big Red Singers is in the School of Music.
That's awesome, and it's probably one of the most premier collegiate groups, show choir-wise, in the nation.
It's a very good group. It's a mix of just kids that love to do it still, and some music ed kids, and some performance majors, and some performance majors who would like a little bit of movement experience. But at the same time, it's kind of an all-star cast of great kids from all over the country.
And you also have the camp, which
we have a summer camp, and we have it's really one of the better performance venues for a competition, and we have that in it's usually during Martin Luther King weekend. It's the Saturday before Martin Luther King, and it's in our Lead Center, which is an incredible beautiful roadhouse on our campus attached to our School of Music. I mean, we just had the Chicago Symphony here. We just had King Singers, the Cleveland Orchestra, Joshua Bell, and so it's a wonderful.
Can you give me a kind of a shameless plug for the camp that you've got going on? Because I want kids to know that that's out there and that's available and that's a cool thing. Give me a shameless self-promotion moment here.
It's on a beautiful campus in downtown Lincoln. Lincoln is a great place. If nothing else, it was recently named the #1 college town in America. It's one of the safest cities in America. The campus is downtown. It's a very, very affordable camp. We really don't do it at all. Nobody makes a cent on the whole thing in terms of the university. We have great choreographers. In the past, we've had April James, Stephen Todd, Jared Voss, Kevin Chase. We certainly are hoping to have you in the next summer. We really are positioned for some really good growth. We have beautiful, absolutely beautiful facilities right there on the arts campus between our recital halls and all of our big ensemble rehearsal halls. And everything is air conditioned. It gets kind of warm sometimes where we are, but except for walking between buildings, everything's air conditioned. It's really kind of a nice place.
Is Bain Eckland there?
We are planning. We have some good growth planned, and the dates are June 14 to 20.
June 14 through 20th this year. That will be on UNL campus. So, guys, if you're within a day's drive of that, make sure that you check. Is there a website that there's like more detailed information on?
Everything is done on the website. All you have to do is Google Nebraska Show Choir Camp.
Okay, cool, because I'll do that now, and I'll try to get a link posted on our Twitter if you guys are interested in that.
And I noticed one of your previous Sunday night sessions involved Jen Randall, and down from the Metroplex in Texas. She's also been one of our clinicians for a long time. We have teacher sessions as well, so it's a week that all of our students really look forward to.
And how many years have you guys been doing that camp?
Early 2000s. So I would say right around 2000. Yeah, been since an 8th grader.
I was an 8th grader. Yeah.
What did I read today that was about you getting some arrangements published?
I have. I take all of the. I'm taking Moses Hogan's spirituals and for Hal Leonard, and I'm arranging them for men's choruses and women's choruses. So they get a lot of play. It's kind of fun. I did one of them with the Georgia All-State Men's Chorus. I'm directing the South Dakota All-State next year, and one of them just might show up there. I'm doing the Iowa All-State Chorus next year, and the women of the Iowa All-State Chorus will be singing one of them. So it's kind of fun when they show up.
You're doing Iowa All-State next year?
I'm doing the Iowa All-State next year.
That's awesome! I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I learned choir live tonight.
What are some differences between teaching at the high school level and teaching at the college level, and what made you want to make the jump after being in the high school show choir world for 15 years?
Someone told me, and I think it's kind of funny, but it's also kind of true. When you teach high school, you teach them how. When you teach college, you teach them why. And
nice.
There is some truth to that, but I do also teach a lot of master's and doctoral students. And I think the fun part is often they realize that they don't know how, and they come back for grad work. And so you're back to teaching them how again with grad school. I really enjoy preparing people to go out and teach. And I think I threw away like 2 boxes of plaques and trophies. It's different nowadays because the plaques and trophies are different. It's really more enjoyable to watch your students go out there and teach well, have their groups perform well, and have them inspire kids to get out and inspire other kids. That's been the real thrill these last couple of years. You know, I was judging out with Adam at Grand Island, and it was a true joy and a blessing to watch students out there, young teachers out there, your age teachers, get out there and just be awesome. That was so fun.
I had a question. What advice would you have for young teachers that are considering grad school or are considering show choir?
Well, show choir, I tease one of my main mentors throughout my teaching years, and his name was Weston Noble, and of course he never conducted a show choir in his life, but I say I learned so much about show choir from Weston Noble, and he laughs and he goes, oh. But, you know, part of it was rhythm, and part of it was positioning singers, and part of it was choral tone. And he would always, during his college choir rehearsals, have a set of drumsticks going. So that the students would learn a consistent, accurate set of rhythm, because the right note at the wrong time is the wrong note, and the right choreography at the wrong time is the wrong choreography, and Ben always chimes in, the right choreography in the wrong place on stage is the wrong choreography. So that might be one of the things I brought to show choir, is that I see a lot of people out there clicking their drumsticks, but I just think so much of it is rehearse your group a cappella, because then when you add all of those other sounds, you know what you're getting. And I always try to instill with my students to try to get your students to always rehearse at the level they're going to use on the performance stage. There are enough weird things. You go out on a stage and it's a new floor, it's a new acoustic, it's a new temperature. You hear things you may never have heard before. There's lights coming from places you've never seen lights come from before. You just want to get out there and do what you've always done. And directors will say, okay, the band's here, now we have to use consonants. Well, that's too late, I'm so sorry. You have to realize, okay, we're going to have a drum set, we're going to have a synthesizer and keyboards and electric bass and trumpets and trombones. You have to use the consonants from the first time you start using words that you're going to need to on stage, because the muscle memory gets established right away.
Mm-hmm. And weird habits can get established very quickly, for sure.
Another thing, too, that he brought was the whole prelims show one thing, finals show a different thing. And they did that quite well, and then they started making rules of it, competitions.
Wait. Well, tell us about that. What was with that?
I attribute it to ADHD, attention deficit. We would compete in the day with one show and we'd do a different one at night. It didn't catch on, did it? I didn't catch on.
2 different shows, or like you would add a closer, add a different song? Two different
shows.
No, it was different.
Yeah.
And then they started banning it at competitions because directors started getting upset that they would beat everyone with 2 different shows.
Do you ever have a time where you liked your prelim show better than your final show?
Well, tell them about the opera show.
Well, I did. We did compete one place, and we were in first place after the day with a regular show. And I don't know, maybe I was just. My advice to people: I'm always appreciative of someone who's creative and brings things to the stage that we haven't seen before. And I did a whole show of opera choruses. Our first one was in Russian. It was from. It was by Rimsky-Korsakov. It was from. A Russian opera, and then we did, as a second tune, Laughing Song from Die Fledermaus, and for a ballad we did Regina Celli from Mascagni's opera, and we closed with March to the Bullfight from Carmen, and we did that one in French. And some people thought it was cool, and some people didn't. So
It's awesome show choir, and it's all available on YouTube. You can find every single song. I've put it up there years ago because I'm a super dork, and it's an amazing, amazing show.
the weird part about it is when I came to the university, I don't think any of my students knew that I had a show choir history. And I was, and one of my young students who was in my men's choir brought his laptop up to me, and I'd never seen YouTube before. And he brought this up to me with his laptop open, and he was from Mooresville, Indiana. And he said, "Was this you?" I said, "Well,"
And it actually
what
makes
was that?
it makes for the perfect transition because Bain had his debut show choir experience
Oh, that's right.
I came
in
up
that
with the-
show as an
right.
8-year-old.
I was young. I was a little dude.
He was like 6 or 7. He was holding the crown.
On a pillow.
On a pillow.
The crown, the dude at the end, yeah.
You know.
Well, we definitely need to find that. And Bain, that was the moment you decided you wanted to be a choreographer, wasn't it?
It's definitely it.
Was it really? I think he's lying to you.
So I do want to talk to Bain a little bit about, or Ben. A lot of your students probably call you Ben. What do you usually have your students call you Ben, or do you just do you not even bother with the Bain part, or what? And can you explain the tradition behind that and the thought process behind you and your brother's names, because they're all interesting.
I have to say that Bain August Eklund was the name of my great-grandfather who brought the family over from Sweden.
Yeah.
So
And
that's where that came from.
And it's spelled B-E-N-B-T, which is why we get B-E-N-G-T.
You
Sorry,
just spelled your
I
name
spelled my
wrong.
name wrong.
Wow.
That's awesome.
No, but that's where we get Ben, is it's B-E-N-G-T, and so.
Right.
And I know he critiqued one of my groups at, I think, Lincoln Southwest, and he walks in and was like, saying something about Bengt or whatever, and all the kids just started looking around like, what is going on?
That happens everywhere I go. And even with show choir professionals, directors, choreographers, they know who Ben Eckland is, but they don't know Bain is who I'm talking about. So they always are like, is that really his name? I'm like, yes, it's his name.
So this is the big reveal tonight. If you've ever heard of Bain Eckland, he is the same as Ben. And so tell me about how you got into choreography, Bain, and yeah, we'll just go from there.
Well, I mean, I guess I started going to the Nebraska Show Choir Camp the first year it started, which I think was like my 7th or 8th grade year, had to have been. And so I just kind of got started doing that, early, and then did it all through high school at Lincoln Southwest with Jonathan Dearland as the director. And then I went to the University of Nebraska and started with music education. I did that for like about 2 semesters, and then I just was like, I don't think this is really exactly what I want to be doing. So I tried business, I tried journalism, I took a semester off, and then realized I really missed the whole music thing. And then I came back, and my younger brother Bryant actually was like, hey, let's try choreographing a group. And so we got a hold of a couple of directors, and we're like, hey, we just never done this before. Would you have us? We'll come to your prep group for like $6. We'll come and do this for you. And so we just did it for fun. And then I was like, wow, this is super fun, and I enjoy this. And so while I was going, and I went back to school for music ed to back to UNL, and the choreography thing just kind of took off, and it got to a point where I kind of had to decide, do I want to finish music ed, or do I want to kind of see where this like choreography thing took me? Because I had like 4 or 5 groups my first year choreographing, then I had 12, and then it was at 20 by my 3rd year. And so I was like, I'm going to try this full time and just see where this goes, because I can always go back to school. And so then I had 20, and in the last 3 years I've been choreographing, I've had 25 or plus groups. So it just kind of took off, and so I'm very grateful and lucky that all kind of worked out the way it did. But someday I'll go back to school and finish something. We'll see what that ends up being.
How do you think your dad influenced you as a musician? Growing up with somebody who's doing opera shows and show choir and doing 2 different competition shows, and it's just it's his words, hyperactive about it. How did that influence you as a kid?
Starts getting in, starts
I'm
bringing
going to answer that one only because I have fond memories of directing the pit orchestra, whether for musicals. And I remember once we were doing West Side Story, and and sometimes the kids are just running around the auditorium all the time, and it's sometimes kind of loud. And
me and my brother are only 18 months apart, so we were totally a pair everywhere we went to all the rehearsals.
Yeah, and the best part is, it was always so awesome to take them to those rehearsals because they were hanging around the best kids in school. The kids in the choir room are always the best kids. And I think they grew up kind of thinking that's the way kids are supposed to be. And isn't that awesome? And I remember fondly turning around when they get really noisy in the auditorium and yelling, "Sit down and shut up!"
Well, and I remember...
But they were always around the best kids.
I remember a time me and Bryant found this big cardboard circle thing, and we made it into a giant Frisbee, and we started throwing it back and forth. And up on stage was a mom or something, and we threw it, and it went up and hit her, and... we just got in trouble real fast and went and sat down. So we were around all the time, and so I think growing up it made it just some of my best memories are around show choir kids and competitions and going on long bus rides to competitions or to like when you went to Disney World or wherever, Washington D.C., all of that, yeah.
Choir tours.
I mean, growing up around it definitely has a huge impact on how you see things and what you want to do. And I think that's why, in college when I started off music ed and then, went away from it, you realize you miss it. You miss that life. You miss music. You miss, high school. High school kids, working with high school kids and stuff now. I could never imagine moving away from that. So.
And I read earlier today that teachers put in more extra hours than any other profession on the average, just because, and I look at that as a blessing and not a curse, because I'm talking about the weekends where you're traveling with your show choir, and I would always take my kids and family, or the evenings that you spend in musical rehearsals, where honestly, if you're doing what you love, you don't really ever work a day in your life. And the last thing I ever want to do is discourage that. I think. In many respects, many of us involved with the arts and young kids, we have the best jobs in the world. We really do.
And Ben, I can't call you Ben. It's just weird. Would you say that show choir and this whole world around it, does that feel like home to you?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's all I've ever known and what I've been around, and I definitely played sports. I did basketball and football and stuff in high school.
We know you played basketball.
I know,
obviously, the picture that we promoted for this episode
my freshman year of high school.
Bengt with his fro and his basketball,
which was the same size,
and his freshman body.
Well, I had the same fro in high school, man. I wasn't judging.
Yeah, a little bit.
But we want to see it. I think that's the deal. We want to.
Okay, I can throw that down for you. What are have you guys worked together on any projects?
Big Red Singers for sure. We've run some rehearsals together in that, and we get to judge a lot. I make him arrange for me, and he always scolds me because that's not how we did it. And try this, and challenges me to always see things in another way, and working together is fun. It makes it easy. Being able to come over here, and then let's say I'm working at Norris or one of the schools around here, I'll stop by here and say, hey, we talked to the director. This is kind of what we're thinking, and being in town, so that's a fun collaboration that we get to do. So.
Absolutely, it's been fun to watch him teach. And again, as I travel around the country, I have a lot of my colleagues always comment that it's been fun to see. Well, again, and for us, we're passing this in a great way. It's called paying it forward. I mean, people like you, Alex, and people like Ben and Adam, and these people back here, Steph and Melissa. It's fun to pay it forward and hand this over to you guys eventually, because you guys are going to be the people taking it to the next level and bring all the new stuff. So that's been fun to watch.
And seeing already, I've seen Alex groups, Steph groups, Mel groups,
yes.
Bain groups. It's already happening too. I don't know. It's awesome to see. It's just this fresh view of it.
Yeah.
So do you arrange for a lot of show choirs, Dr. Pete, or is that something you just kind of do on the side?
I used to, but I don't do as much anymore. I mean, the university job, between the ensembles I teach, the conducting that I teach, and I'm out. I just was in. What day is today?
Today is March 1st.
So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I was in Salt Lake City at the ACDA convention, and like I said before, I conduct a lot, and it's a lot of fun to get out around the country. Just a year ago, I was doing a big festival choir of junior colleges at Carnegie, and I did the Georgia All-State a year ago, and just last November did the one of the Virginia All-State choirs. That is a lot to do on top of a full-time job, so that's important.
Can you tell us about the ACDA convention, and would you recommend it to high school directors?
Well, absolutely, absolutely, because it's so much about networking, meeting people. There was a wonderful session that I attended. Roger Emerson was sitting in the front row, and they were talking about music copyright laws, and there was a copyright attorney there.
That's not an issue right now, though, really. That's not really anything people are talking about.
Not at all.
Well, so it was really fun to talk to the publishers, and you know, people were learning, and networking. I had a great conversation with my longtime friend Sue Moniger there. We were both doing roundtable info sessions where people signed up to talk to us, and I said, I want to just forget this, and I want to go talk to Sue. You know, so and you know, and vice versa. That, you know, that stuff is fun when we can network. And you know, at the same time, we saw the Mormon Tabernacle Choir in their own environment. You know, and they have 2 years' notice. It was one of the most spectacular productions you've ever seen, with antiphonal trumpets, and then in this 21,000-seat conference center that they have. Just meeting new friends and connecting with longtime friends. It is absolutely fabulous, and they are in a far more than ever before. They're embracing jazz choir, show choir, all of the new types of ensembles. So unlike your father's Oldsmobile, this is very different, and they are certainly keeping that part of it.
What was the moment that you knew that Bengt had some musical talent and that maybe he would kind of follow your footsteps?
Probably when he belched for the first time.
I don't know. He was also involved in one of our operas here. We did the Hansel and Gretel. That was yeah. You were young, yeah. And so it's been fun to just keep them involved. You know, not unlike a lot of directors' kids, they're involved. During our summer camp, it was fun to see directors and their kids. You know, it can be a family. It can be a fun, collaborative environment and a safe environment for kids. It really can. I don't remember a moment, except I remember watching his choreography once, and I texted one of my choreographer friends and I said I thought it was really kind of good, and texted them, and they texted me back and said, I didn't do that. That was your son. I was going, oh. So I think maybe that was an epiphany moment for me when I saw that. I thought, when I didn't know it was his work, and I thought it was kind of musical.
Bain, what's one of your favorite memories of Dr. Pete growing up?
Oh, don't ask that. Don't answer that.
Like, okay, so when I'd have to learn like solos for any contest thing or whatever, I'd always be like, hey, come play for me. Okay, so whenever we're at the school, it's fine. He just lets me sing, even if I sing a wrong note here and there, or all the time, whatever. But anytime we were in the library, I would be singing, and he would do the same thing he does to you singers. I'm sure the same thing he did to all of his high school choirs, where he would play this note and then sing one like a half step up and go, do you like it when I do this? Don't do it to me. So that happened a few times.
I didn't invent that. That was a Robert Shaw. Yeah. That was Robert Shaw that would say, if you don't stop this, then I'm not going to stop.
Yeah. So,
what do you think about when you design choreography? How do you design? I mean, Alex always asks choreographers what their process is. What is your process?
Well, first I kind of listen to it and kind of figure out what textures need like what layers or what kind of like a soft feel or a hard feel or anything like that. And then I like sometimes I've kind of found that recently I've been starting with like taking a picture and starting with the blocking and then choreographing the chunks of that to kind of build off of and then other times you just kind of listen to the music and you just start dancing and it just kind of happens fast. So I guess it kind of depends on the song and what the director has told you they want out of it, if anything, and you just kind of.
And are you sit down, plan it out? Like Damon Brown says, he lays down and his cat is like on his back and he draws it out. And are you like, or
no,
you just
no,
like?
I have to be in front of a mirror so I can see what I'm doing, and then but I'm really anal about it. I write down, first 8 count 1 through 4, whatever, and I'll write it out so that way I can get up in front of the kids and be like, this is exactly what I have, and make sure I'm totally ready for that. So.
What was one of the favorite songs that you've done this season?
This season? Probably Lincoln East opener, which actually because it's which I know is funny because they're on, but their opener is Summertime, Ella Fitzgerald kind of version of it, and it was a different style. I mean, I think sometimes you get so many pop songs that anytime you get something just a little more with a little more age on it, and just that style is just they're fun to do. It makes you think.
Well, and Brett told me that you didn't want to do that song.
I wasn't sure about it either, and then it turned out being one of my favorite ones. So it's funny how that works sometimes. Something that you may not think, hey, this is going to be awesome, and then you get to do it, and then it turns out being,
it was awesome.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things I did. So.
What are some of your favorite moments watching groups this year?
Some of my favorite moments from this year, honestly, this last weekend at judging at Kennedy, seeing Ankeny's show, Lester has done a phenomenal job planning that show out, and I thought it was super cool. I don't know if you haven't seen it, make sure you find a way to see it. They do turn the lights off in the second number, do a black light thing, and what April did choreography wise was just some of the coolest stuff I've seen in a few years.
Yeah.
It's super creative.
I called Alex after I saw their preview in December, I think it was, or early January, and I said, dude, I just had a show choir like Jesus experience because the choreography is just out of this world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's pieced together in a fun and in a fun and seamless way. It's really very interesting, and again, it's awesome. Whether it was Brandon Dean there at Ankeny.
We've been looking at the top of your head the entire episode, Pete. This is the Pete Hair episode.
Or Lester. I mean, and if you have any, if you know Lester, tell him to finish his doctorate. Tell him to get done. He just needs to get his final paper written.
It's kind of interesting too because Lester arranges, and there was a group. I forget what group it was this weekend, but I said your ballad is just so incredible. Who arranged it? And they said Lester.
Yeah, Lester's doing an awesome
job.
Yeah, okay. It's great to see those young people out there.
I have a question. I have a question from Twitter to Dr. Pete from the Berries in Iowa City. It says, What was your favorite show while directing West Side Delegation, and what was your greatest memory from ACDA with Jefferson? So, favorite show while directing West Side.
Very pointed, and there's an answer.
Well, no. It always is kind of fun when you have my very first teaching job. I had Jim Barry walk in the door, and I actually survived that. So that is remarkable in itself. And then he came up and watched my choir, and there was a young soprano in there named Ann Boughton, and he immediately at that time decided he was going to marry her, even though she was still in high school. Well, she got to I think she graduated from college first, but they got married, so it was kind of fun. And that is a great memory in itself. I don't know, maybe it was just the fact that I was really trying to stretch some boundaries on my way out the door. We took an oratorio, and it was by a French composer named Arthur Honegger. It looks like Honegger, but at the ending chorus with the death of King David is one of the greatest choral moments in all of choral music. And so I took 3 movements from this oratorio named King David, and we did it all in French. And I took our choreographer at the time was Andy Haynes, and I said, "You're going to do ballet for us." And he goes, "I don't do ballet." And I said, "You are now." So I think that was when you can take something that is so different and the kids can buy into it. That was a great memory. All ballet with some costumes that are not what anybody would usually see on the show choir stage, between the Egyptians and the King David and the angel, and that was a lot of fun. That was at ACDA. You know, there's no doubt about it. I took a choir. We took our show choir actually to ACDA, which is a bunch of. At that time, show choir was not very welcomed, and I had a lot of people sitting in there that were wondering, why are they here? And I think it was between the antiphonal music, the legit swing, Ellington music. I think it was nice to teach people that it can be musical, and good singing can occur. And again, I took my men's chorus to the National ACDA convention in Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center, and that was a great memory. They gave their all. Those are good memories.
Bain, what was one of your favorite moments from being in show choir in high school?
Looking at the girls. My wife's back there.
Yeah.
In high school, I remember performing at Benton's competition, and it was the first time we competed against Cedar Rapids schools when I was in high school, and I thought that was a big deal because I hadn't been back to Cedar Rapids since I grew up watching them all, and getting to compete against I think Cedar Rapids Kennedy, and one of my really good friends, Adam Fieldson, was in there, and we beat him, which was a big deal. But truthfully, the stage there is like plastic, and our closers we tapped, and so plastic and metal don't match really well, and so I remember running on in the daytime, and everybody's like sliding across the stage.
Like
and,
ice.
Yeah, it was. So that's probably one of the things that sticks out most, was just that little blooper, which was funny and it was fun, and so.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Adam.
I was just gonna say, like, these guys are some of the coolest people. Like, I'm lucky to count them as friends. I actually have known Dr. Pete longer than I've known Bain. I've known Dr. Pete since my sophomore year of high school. He came and worked with our show band and our show choir, and then judged our show choir competition. And I got to know Mr. Bengt here a few years later. But both such awesome guys, and really, honestly, I'm gonna be their shameless plug. Like, get them to work with your choir, because they're going to improve your show choir in some way. They're just that great. So I have to be that shame plug guy right now because I love them so much. Except he's just not very good on camera because he just has no concept.
No, the camera is so clear up here.
Yeah,
I'm usually
it's
not.
a very weird setup right now.
It's set up for finale. And if there are students watching, I think it's important that people really understand and enjoy the people you've got in your group with you, because you have no idea where they're going. And one of my stories that I've told on more than one occasion to some of the students I've worked with, I had a kid who danced really well, and I said, dance like him. Copy him. How fast can you copy him, because he's kind of good. And after a while, the kids start rolling their eyes. And it's like, oh, him again? He might be in the back row for the ballad, but he was in the front row, usually the front row center, the rest of the time, because he just danced kind of all styles better than everybody else. And if I'm lucky, this spring I'm going to get to go to New York and see him in his 6th Broadway show as a dancer. He's often playing the role that Gene Kelly would have played in On the Town on Broadway. So you never know with these young people. It's just really awesome.
Has he been in On the Town for a while, or is he just about to come in?
He has been, and he was one of the swings. Kevin Worley, he was one of the swings, and then the guy who was cast left, so he got moved in there. But we saw him in I saw him in, he was just in Bullets Over Broadway, saw him in 42nd Street as the tenor tap dancing lead, Billy Lawler, saw him in Chorus Line as the guy with the TKTS shirts. So it's just really kind of fun to watch your students out there being awesome.
I have a question. I have a question from Twitter for both of you guys. What advice would you give to any young people who want to get into the show choir industry? That's from Alex Wampler.
I mean, as far as like doing the whole choreography thing, I think personally I just kind of started doing it, and because you got to learn how to do it and find anybody who will have you, and just get some experience working in front of kids and figuring out what your process is, so that when somebody does call and you're ready and you're prepared for that, and just don't go get it. I sent emails out when I was young, because I get asked this question all the time. I want to be a choreographer. What do I have to do? What should I go major in? And I don't know if there's necessarily a right answer to that, but I know that you got to be proactive about it. You have to try and get some experience. I think that's the biggest thing for those of you who want to be a show choir choreographer. High school students, you got to find some way to choreograph something for someone, whether it be a group of 10 kids or for like a small town school close to where you are, or for your alma mater's prep group, or
even when you're in high school. I think a lot of groups, if it's not a competition show, sometimes people do music that's not a spring show or something like that. The bottom line is it's growing. When I came to Nebraska, there were probably 2 modern show choirs that were competitive. Now there's bunches of them. And yesterday when they announced, excuse me, second runner-up, first runner-up, I had no idea who competitive on an even level. So.
Well, and yeah, it was so just craziness, because there's all these different styles now too, and before, like you said, they were doing the same thing, and every group kind of gave something a little bit different.
And make friends with people. The people that might score higher than you really aren't your enemy. They're just people that maybe beat you to the starting line. Before speed dial, we would always talk frequently with some people that were experts in the field. You just call them and talk to them, and they're always generous. They really are. Excuse me, I got a cough.
Yeah.
Well, cool. We've been going for about an hour, so I'm going to start to wrap things up here. I've got some announcements to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is T-shirts. We have Show Choir Live T-shirts available on teespring.com/showchoirlive. So we've got a gray T-shirt, we've got a women's T-shirt that's white, we've got a white V-neck, and we've also got long sleeve T-shirts, and we've also got hoodies. So check out teespring.com/showchoirlive if you want to check that out. Also, another big announcement. We are going to extend our SCA scholarship deadline to Sunday, March 15th. We just want to be able to give as many people as possible a chance to apply. And today we've had a flood of entries, which shows me that there's a lot of interest and maybe a lot of busy people trying to work on this, because it was technically the deadline today. But we're going to extend it because we want to give as many people a chance as possible. And that's something that we're really excited about. Go ahead, Adam. What were you going to say? Sorry.
Just gonna say we got a lot of them here today, and you just said everything I was gonna say.
Cool. I win. Sorry. All right. Well, next weekend is a huge weekend. This is probably the toughest competition I'll go to all year. Is this coming weekend? I'll go with Prospect to Chicagoland, which is at Hersey High School up here in Arlington Heights, just northwest of Chicago. It's an incredible contest. It's one of the most professional contests that you come across on the circuit. It's got Wheaton, North, and Waubonsee, and Carmel, and Glenwood, and I feel like I'm
right?
Buffalo Grove, and Prospect, and just tons of craziness. So if you're anywhere in this region, and you can drive a couple hours on Saturday, it's definitely going to be one of the cooler finals shows that you'll see. So I'll be there hanging out. And what about you, Adam? What are you doing this weekend?
I will be at Cedar Rapids Jefferson's competition with Muscatine River City Rhythm. It is our last competition of the season, so I'm really excited for it. Yeah, they just had a great weekend this past weekend. We're getting so much awesome reaction from our show. For the first time in, I think, my entire time there, they won the best or most original show thing, and I would much rather win an award like that than a grand champion trophy, so I was really excited about that.
Are you getting sentimental about the show yet?
I've been actually getting pretty sentimental about it as the season has gone along. It kind of makes me want to hide under a pillow or throw myself in a dumpster because it's sad that it's coming to an end. It's sad to see where the show started with kids that are like, are we sure we're doing this? To now they're just like so in love with it. And I love that feeling, and the show itself is about life. And life is coming full circle. What is happening?
I can't believe it's March already. I know I said that before. I have a question. Adam, did you read results for Western Dubuque?
No, I did not, but I've
got them pulled up here.
Okay.
I can go for it. Okay, so I get to do a result for once. So, 5th runner-up surround sound from Bettendorf. This is off showchoir.com. Wallert was 4th. Davenport North was 3rd runner-up. Craig High School 2nd runner-up with best female solo. So that's a nice detail in there. Let's see. 1st runner-up La Crosse Central, Grand Central Station with best choreo. And Totino Grace, grand champion with best vocals. Congrats, guys. Yeah, I had a note on Twitter that was like, did you read that? And I was like, you know, sometimes I can't tell, so I'll ask. And I'll pull it up to see if I can get that done for you. So thanks for the heads up on that one. Do you have any other items, Mr. Adam, before we wrap this thing up?
Covered everything. We're still doing the Uptown Funk Challenge, right?
Yeah, if you got any Uptown Funk videos, you know, at this point, I think Auburn Funk came out and it just was like a drop mic moment, and so people maybe thought it was over, but it's not over. If you've got any Uptown Funk videos, send them on over to showchoirlive at gmail.com. For t-shirt info or scholarship info, you can go to showchoirlive.com. We've got nice links on the top right corner of the page for info on both of those things. We're trying to sell 50 t-shirts in this campaign. We're at about 27 or 28. So if you could help us out, help us get to 50 t-shirts here in the next 24 hours before this campaign ends, that would be awesome. So
I also post the links to the opera show, Jefferson's 1996 opera show, on Twitter so everyone can see it and see little Bengt carry a pillow across the stage.
That's mainly what we'll watch for. And also, somebody find a video of these Millard North guys. I really want to put that on. I want that to open the show next time. And speaking of opening and closing the show, I'm going to close the show with our normal Show Choir Live Little Wabanzi theme song. But the picture that you'll see is a very, very cool picture to me. It's of the director of Findlay, Kevin Manley, and he's moonwalking. That's what he's doing in these photos. He's moonwalking across the stage after they won, and it's a tradition. He says he's not sure how it got started, but the kids freak out when he does it. He says he learned how to moonwalk in 8th grade basketball practice, and somehow now when his group gets to go out and win, and it's a very emotional victory for them this week, so we're supporting them fully, and this picture just makes me laugh, and it's awesome.
So I think what I just got from that was I should have joined basketball to learn how to dance.
Yeah, that's mostly how that goes, I think.
That's what my problem is.
All right, guys. Well, thanks. I'm going to switch audio, and then we'll see Kevin Manley doing the moonwalk to our theme song. But thanks a lot for hanging out on Show Choir Live. We will be back on Sunday after a very crazy weekend. Enjoy your week. We'll
With